Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem! The beginnings of the famous pizza-loving turtle ninjas that happened to be teenagers in New York. This film was directed by Jeff Rowe and Kyler Spears. Jeff Rowe worked on Mitchell's versus the Machines, which you can watch on Netflix. And this was also produced and written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. I watched this movie in 3D. Totally worth it. I think all animated movies are worth watching in 3D. I think that they perfected it pretty well as opposed to actual 3D live action films. The animation in this film has heavy Spider-Verse vibes and apparently was inspired by it. I also thought about Mitchell's versus the Machines a couple times. It's filmed and edited like an actual live action movie. It's about outsiders that are growing up, that have been training all their lives to be heroes and are restrained by their father figure, who is Splinter, aka Jackie Chan. The improv that goes on between the characters is really well made because they recorded in the same studio, which is actually very rare for animations. People don't know that normally, but it is true. Whenever you watch an animated anything, they've recorded their lines in separate rooms most of the time. But they decided to go the old school route and film them all in the same room. That way you have that vibe, that feeling, that stamina of a well-written scene or well-acted scene amongst actors that are pretending to be brothers. It really worked. Plus, they're actual kids or teenagers in the film. The fight scenes. Some of the best animated fight scenes ever because it was fighting with story. Their fight wasn't like just kooky animation stuff. Like it was like the first fight scene was funny, but it was badass of the point of like they've never actually stopped crime or been in a fight before. They've just trained for it all their lives. So when they're when they're dicking each other down, when they're dipping and diving and trying to get out of the way of the bad guys, like they're surprised the whole time that what they're doing is actually working. And when they get hit, they're like, ow, shit, that hurt. Like it was a realistic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fighting scene. Now, before I go further, I must mention, I wasn't like a hardcore, diehard fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was a kid. I loved the show, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the movies. Not to say I disliked them. I just didn't love them as much as everyone else does. This movie made me want to rewatch them because it was so dope. The pop culture references in this film are actually very impressive, and it was realistic because it captures what teenagers would be talking about or referencing. The only downside of the pop culture references is there are a lot, which isn't bad, but it is kind of like, you are your own movie, and you kind of forget it when you have a plan like, let's take down this guy, just like in the Avengers Endgame. They've done that a couple times in the movie, but it's kind of realistic of what teenagers would say if they were making a plan. They would reference it to a pop culture thing that they are all familiar with to help determine how they're going to do something. So it was kind of realistic and it was cool. The animation is really, really dope. The music was incredible, fucking badass. The editing was amazing. It's a very don't die, me. Don't die. That'd be crazy. I really want to get up and go get water, but I'll just stop eating the chips. I do see some salsa here. Why have I done? Why have I done? Oh, man. Okay. We're back. Luckily, no one's here. Hopefully, no one watches this episode. Okay. All right. This movie was very mutant-y. Like, it was very mutant-y. If you watch it, you'll know what I mean. Very ooze, I wish I was a teenager now, discovering the movie as an adult. Discovering the movie as an adult, it just makes me want to watch all the other ones. I'm sorry. Fuck. And I'm in my boxers, so I can't really get up. I mean, you could see me in my boxers. I don't want you to see me in my boxers. I'm just going to fucking raw dog it. All right. I want to watch the rest of the movies. This movie is popping. The 3D is worth it. This, I'm assuming, will be my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles after I rewatch all of them. It's one of my favorite animated movies. I really enjoyed it. Just check it out. I think if you like the Turtles, you will really like this movie. Seth Rogen knocked it out of the park once again. You can watch the originals 1 and 2 on Max, 3 on Paramount Plus. The first CGI one, TMNT, is on Paramount Plus, along with Michael Bay's live action movies with Megan Fox. But you can check out Mutant Mayhem in theaters right now. Next up, another ridiculous movie that was a little better than I thought it was going to be. No, it's a lie. It was a little less. Allow me to explain. This is the shark movie with Jason Statham. You can watch the first Meg on Max. The first half of this film was very reminiscent of the first half of the first Meg. Even though, of course, most of the movie is underwater, all the underwater scenes are like kind of boring. This movie, you forget, is about a shark because they decided to go the route of like focusing on these characters and this weird world where they create cybertronic suits so you can use them to walk the ocean floor without exploding. And it is slightly talking about sharks, and you forget that it happens until sharks come in. Having said that, in the first half, there is this cool underwater scene where they're in the suits, walking like regular people, not underwater, because that's the beauty of, weird storytelling. But these sharks are like fighting like these, you don't know what's on the bottom of the ocean floor. And in this movie, they say are prehistoric animals very similar to dinosaurs. So there are dinosaurs like attacking the people and giant sharks attacking the people. But they look up and they see all this wild shit going on with these giant creatures. It kind of reminds you of Godzilla, but underwater. And it's really cool how they do that. There is a scene that is very ridiculous, but was right up this movie's alley, where you can walk the ocean floor by getting rid of all of the air out of your lungs, because air in your lungs are actually what crush you underwater. But when someone explained this, and of course Jason Statham does it, and when he takes out all of the air out of his lungs, hopefully you didn't see that, blood comes out. It's so ridiculous, but a character that explains it goes, "It's possible!" Like, she literally shouts that. It's basically shouting to the audience, yeah, you can do this crazy shit. It's possible! I don't know if it is. I keep trying to look up it, but whatever. It's ridiculous, but it's fun, and it got a lot more fun in the second half of the film when they got on the surface. The Meg fucking inhales people. He doesn't just eat people. He literally inhales people. The cast is actually a lot more fun. U-Turn from Weeds is back, and he's a badass in this one instead of a scared bitch in the first one. He's very, very funny. They do a lot of stereotypes, but he's fucking hilarious. He needs to be in more things. But the cast is actually a lot more of like a family in this one. It's very strange, but it works. Yeah. Poppin' or not, I'd say Poppin'. 3D. You don't need to see this movie in 3D, but the underwater scenes were kind of cool. I like campy movies like Piranha, where they throw like an eyeball at the screen and you're watching it with your 3D glasses going, yeah, this is why we go to the movies. So you can wait for it on DVD or DVD. What year am I living in?